Are you ready to dive into the chilling darkness of a decade that redefined fear? The 1970s was a hotbed for some of the most sensational and terrifying true crime cases in history, spawning monsters who operated in plain sight and left a trail of dread that still haunt us today. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on the most fascinating true crime stories, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss our next unsettling investigation. What other decades or topics would you like us to explore next? Let us know in the comments below. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy's crimes represented a new, terrifying breed of serial murder. Unlike many killers who fit a more stereotypical profile, Bundy was a college student, a charming and handsome man, and even a political volunteer. This all-American boy facade allowed him to move undetected for years. His method of operation was highly predatory. He often faked an injury, such as a broken arm or a leg in a cast, to gain the sympathy of his female victims, asking for help with a task like loading books into his car. Once they approached, he would bludgeon them unconscious, subdue them with handcuffs, and take them to a remote location to be raped, strangled, and killed. The investigation was initially fragmented because his crimes spanned multiple states in the Pacific Northwest and later the Rocky Mountains and Florida. The first major break in the case came when survivors of his attacks in Utah, including one who escaped, were able to provide a description of his vehicle, a tan Volkswagen Beetle. After his arrest in Utah for a traffic violation, he was linked to several disappearances. His two escapes from custody were highly publicized, with the second escape in December 1977, allowing him to continue his spree in Florida, where he committed some of his most heinous crimes, including the Chi Omega sorority house attack and the murder of 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. Bundy eventually confessed to 30 homicides and was executed in Florida's electric chair on January 24, 1989. 2. The Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer's mystique is rooted in his use of cryptic communication. While the majority of his confirmed murders occurred in the late 1960s, the 1970s was the decade of his letters, which kept the case alive and terrified the public. He sent a series of complex ciphers and taunting letters to Bay Area newspapers like the San Francisco Chronicle and the San Francisco Examiner. These letters, often beginning with the phrase, "This is the Zodiac speaking," contain details of his crimes that only the killer would know. He signed them with a distinctive crosshair symbol. The investigation was a massive effort involving multiple police jurisdictions, the FBI, and an army of amateur code breakers. One of his most famous ciphers, the Zodiac 340 cipher, remained unsolved for over 50 years until it was decoded by a team of private citizens in 2020. The decoded message, addressed to the FBI, was a morbid, taunting message about his identity and a continuation of his philosophical ramblings about killing. Despite countless suspects, including Arthur Lee Allen, who was a strong candidate in the 1970s and 80s, the Zodiac Killer's identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in criminal history. The last confirmed letter from the Zodiac was received in 1974, though some believe he continued to communicate for years after. 3. The Son of Sam. The Son of Sam case is a stark example of how a single killer can hold a massive metropolis hostage with fear. David Berkowitz's killing spree lasted from July 1976 to July 1977 and became a daily fixation for New Yorkers. The media dubbed him the .44 caliber killer due to the specific weapon he used. His victims were primarily young, attractive women with long, dark hair, but he also killed and wounded men, often in attacks on couples. The investigation was a massive undertaking by the New York Police Department, known as the Omega Task Force. The hunt for the killer was relentless, and the public was on edge. A key turning point was a letter Berkowitz left at a crime scene in April 1977, addressed to a New York Daily News columnist, in which he first identified himself as Son of Sam. This letter, along with others, provided bizarre clues, including his claim that a demon possessed his neighbor's dog and ordered him to kill. His eventual capture in August 1977 was the result of a seemingly small break, a parking ticket on a car near the final crime scene, which led police to his address. Berkowitz was found to be the owner of the vehicle and, upon his arrest, confessed to the killings, bringing a collective sigh of relief to the city. 4. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy's crimes are particularly unsettling because of the stark contrast between his public image and his hidden, monstrous life. Gacy was an active member of his community in suburban Chicago. He ran a successful contracting business, was a precinct captain, and often volunteered at charity events and children's parties, where he would perform as Pogo the Clown or Patches the Clown. This very public and friendly persona was a perfect mask for his secret life as a serial killer. Gacy's victims were young men and teenage boys, often runaways or male prostitutes he lured to his home with promises of work or money. He would often drug, sexually assault, and then strangle them. The bodies were disposed of either in the crawl space under his house or in the nearby Des Plaines River. The search for a missing teenager, Robert Piest, led police to Gacy's house in December 1978. Police noticed a powerful, pervasive odor and, after obtaining a search warrant, discovered the macabre truth. The discovery of 29 bodies in the crawl space and 4 others in the river made international headlines and remains one of the most shocking crime scenes in American history. At his trial, Gacy's defense of insanity was rejected by the jury, and he was convicted of 33 murders.
Number 5. The Hillside Stranglers. The Hillside Stranglers case highlights the complexity of criminal investigations and the danger of assuming a single offender. The spree began in October 1977, when the bodies of young women who had been raped, tortured, and strangled were found on the hillsides of Los Angeles. For months, the city was convinced it was being terrorized by a single killer. Police created an extensive task force and a media blitz to find the Hillside Strangler. The killers were actually 2 cousins, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono Jr. They worked together, often impersonating police officers, to abduct their victims. They would take the women back to Buono's auto upholstery shop, where they would torture and kill them. The murders abruptly stopped in February 1978 when Bianchi moved to Washington State. His violent tendencies continued, and in 1979 he was arrested for the murders of 2 college students in Bellingham, Washington. The similarities between those crimes and the Hillside Stranglings prompted Los Angeles police to investigate him as a suspect. Facing a potential death sentence in Washington, Bianchi made a deal and confessed to his role in the Los Angeles murders, implicating his cousin, Angelo Buono. Buono was subsequently arrested, and despite Bianchi's testimony, a long and arduous trial took place. Buono was ultimately convicted of 9 of the murders and sentenced to life in prison. If this journey into the darkness of the 1970s left you wanting more, don't let the mystery end here. Like this video to show your support, and if you want to be the first to know when we uncover the next set of chilling tales, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. What other decades of true crime would you like us to explore? Let us know in the comments below, and we might feature your request in our next video.